Hiya, hiya. Well, I'm on remote. Can you tell? This is not my usual porch. There's no bird. So I'm sitting in the studio of Shotgun Tom Kelly, and I'm doing another in a series of shows called You'd Better Not Believe It, Baby. Because there's not a lot going on here that you better believe. Otherwise, you're going to get really mad. Like television, it makes us all very mad. You know, we watch TV at night. Before I go to sleep, I want to laugh. I want to have a good time. I want my dreams to be pleasant. I want to space out. I want to peace out. Or I want to laugh out. But I sure don't want to think. You know, and those late night television hosts that we got on television now, they make me think. They're too provocative. They're too much into the whole idea of what has happened and what's going to happen and what could happen, the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and you shoulda all over yourself. You know, I don't want to hear anybody tell me the news. Not at night. You know, in the morning I can take it a little bit because I'm not paying attention. And in the afternoon, I can always say, all right, it's gossip. But by the nighttime, who the hell wants to hear anything? And that half-hour news on television, let's go into that for a minute. You know, this is something that if I were Andy Rooney, and I'm not, or if I were the last 5 minutes on 60 Minutes, which incidentally was Andy Rooney's show, that old man that used to be, he was a borderline curmudgeon. It was great because they ended this great series of magazine shows with this old grouch, you know, and he's sitting there, but he was funny, you know, because he was not ironic. He was funny. And, you know, we've had a lot of people in the world that have been funny through the years, and I am like Groucho Marx. I have that idea that we're here to make people laugh, and we want to make you laugh. No, so right now, so what would I do? What could I say that's funny right now? Whenever you ask someone to say something funny when they're a comic, they freeze. You can't say, okay, put it on, you know. But that's what they do with these monologues. They write these monologues. Someone will stand there for 10 minutes and bitch. All three of those late night guys, or is it 4 or 8 of them now? They all do the same thing, you know. I mean, they sit there or stand there, and they tell you all the things that went on that went wrong. And by the time this is over, you're sitting there, you're saying, God, bring on the first guest. Let me have Ed Ames with the hatchet between Johnny's crotch. You know, I want to see something funny. I want to laugh at something. It would have been better if he hit the crotch. But, you know, I think somewhere along the line, comedy is distance. And it's got to have a little bit of seasoning. You know, you can't tell jokes now about certain things that are very close to my heart. You know, like unemployment, old age. These are things that I don't want to hear about. Now, I'm in San Diego right now, which is the home of the Navy. You know, it's one of the Navy's homes. They got a big presence here, and the Navy is the Marines, as you probably know, and they got a big presence here. And so most of the people who bought their homes here after World War II are neighborhood people who have been in the military, or else they've been involved in it somehow, some way. And there's a lot of people here who brought their brides with them, and they go to work, and these people have formed a community. And I've been walking up and down the street with Shotgun Tom today, and everybody on the street is named Bill. I don't know why, you know. I mean, if I want to have bills, I'll stay at home. But here you are, Bill this, Bill that. Bill. Everybody's named Bill. I thought he was, you know, I think Tom calls them Bill because he forgets their names. He doesn't know who the hell they are. You know, so everybody, hey, Bill, how you doing, Bill? And nobody wants to stop him because he's got a nice smile and a network show on XM Sirius. You know, or is it Sirius XM? I don't know. I'm dyslexic. But, you know, you got this guy walking around town, you know, Shotgun Tom. And he's in his own neighborhood here, which is like a Mr. Rogers gone wrong, you know. And I'm walking up and down the street with him, and I'm meeting all of these various Bills, and they have dogs. And now the latest addition to the hills is goats. Now they have goats eating. They actually have hired goats to eat the grass or whatever it is up there that's going to catch on fire and maybe burn San Diego. So they want to get rid of it, so they got the goats up there, and the goats are feasting on everything, and it's making the dogs mad as hell. Every dog in the neighborhood is barking. The goats are wanting to be milked. Nobody wants to go up and yank their chain, otherwise, you know, you'll be arrested for sexual acting out or something. You know, you got to be careful with everything that we do in this society, because if you report that, you're going to have to report the goldfish. You know the goldfish, you've seen that, right? If you take your regular goldfish out of the bowl and you put it in a stream of water, natural water, what's going to happen? That fish is going to go to the bottom, it's carp, and it will eat everything, change the ecology, and also get fat and ruin the feeding for other fish who really live very peacefully without this gold cusped sushi. You know, I mean, nobody wants to have golden sushi. It's possible, though, it's going to come up on that menu. So, as we walk along this neighborhood and I got far away from the goats because there's enough old goats here to last 2 lifetimes. And, they have, now these goats here have been milked. I'll tell you, they've been milked and bilked of all their money. And everybody is into their house payments. They have new driveways. They're putting in new driveways. The country's gone to hell for a year and a half, and these people are putting in a pool. It's like Rome, And I'm looking up at the mountain. I've seen the goats, and I'm looking for the emperor to stand there. But Trump didn't show up. Anyway, I'm watching all of these people here, and they're looking at all of the things that are going on in their lives, and they're trying to just have a very simple life with a $4 million house, a $30,000 a month payment on the car, 4 or 5 kids that have to be paid with student loans. But a simple life. There's not a lot. And I actually I want to tell you that I ran into a person who was not a Caucasian. She's from Puerto Rico, and that's still very American now. We adopted them. It's a state, kind of. It's a state of confusion, actually. So I walked up to the Puerto Rican woman and I told her my little story about my son-in-law and how his name is Marti. And little Joey, who's named after me, is Joey Marti. So he'd be Jose Marti. And he would be a war criminal in Puerto Rico because he's on the side of Fidel Castro, where they're having problems in Cuba right now, Now, I want to talk about that for a second. This leads to that. I didn't tell this woman this because I don't want to hurt her sanity, her serenity. But, I was in Miami in 1960. I was a kid. I just joined WAME, WAME in Miami, in the Chamber of Commerce building on Biscayne Boulevard, and that's where the Martis arrived. That was the Mariels, the people from Cuba who were being killed by Castro, and a lot of them came to Miami. They came here and they wanted to have a place where they were going to be saved. And we got in a helicopter and went over to Cuba to see what was going on, and then very quickly turned around and came back. Because he was killing everybody. And we figured, okay, this is enough of this news coverage. So I came back to Miami, and the Cubans have taken over Miami. It's a very big Miami city. They say that a Cuban in a white suit is known in Miami as a defendant. That's what that is, because you usually wind up in jail when you're a minority, Now they're not minorities anymore. Now they're majority. See, we are the minority, and we are the ones who weren't counting on it. But we have not been procreating. And the reason we don't is because we go to television watching these late night shows and they don't make you laugh. And so you don't want to have sex, you just want to hurt someone. I go to bed with a weapon now. And usually my weapon's my mouth. But I go to bed with a terrible attitude because of the late night television. So I don't watch it anymore. Now I simply go over and watch porn. And, there's nothing free about it because you've got to watch those silly-ass commercials with the lube that I'm not going to buy. And, and I'm not going to buy any of these things that are going to make anything hard. If I walk around like that every day, no one would notice anyway. It's no big thing. So I want to mention to everyone that this is the alternative. This is the alternative programming. I am an influencer on porn. And if you want to know anything about porn, you have to go to my site. See, this is the way to get an audience. And I want you to see Joey in my dress. I have a dress, and I'm going to have my breasts augmented. Well, that's a radio word. I'm going to have my breasts removed, and then I'm going to have. I'll still have a little bit of cleavage. So I want you to know that I am a cross-dresser. And one of those things is a guy who has some sort of an addiction, and I do have an addiction. I'm addicted to porn, I'm addicted to shopping, I'm addicted to gambling, to drinking, and to weed, and also to other over-the-counter medications. And I'm 95 years old, and it's all worked very well for me. So I want to encourage you to go back to some of these addictions, and you'll have a good time with them, because you better not believe it, baby. I want to be on CBS without the C. It's a Reynolds wrap.